G'day and welcome to the Hunting Connection podcast. My name is Zach Williams and I am your host. Here we'll connect you with hunters, fishers and outdoor enthusiasts from around the globe. This podcast will share hunting and fishing stories including past experiences and tackle the tough hunting stereotypes our community faces. We hope to be a positive influence to those outside the community while also having a laugh along the way. Hope you enjoy the podcast. G'day and welcome to another episode of Hunting Connection podcast. On today's episode, I am joined by Patrick from Australian Recreation Union. How you going, mate?
G'day, mate. Thanks for having me on this show. It's a good evening to have a chat.
It is a brilliant evening to have a chat, especially with what you've started and the things that you will be doing. It's awesome to have a combined outdoor recreation org to fight our battles.
Well, that's the hope. That's the hope, anyway. Yeah.
I'm sure it'll get there. We've seen what happened recently with Great Northern. I don't think I've spoken much about it on the podcast so far. But yeah, you see what happens when all these outdoor enthusiasts actually combine their power and what can happen.
That's exactly the purpose of where we're coming from. Our whole goal is to be a united front, bring everyone together. We've been in the smaller organisations. We've listened to the podcast where people make complaints, and rather than sitting on the sideline and singing the same song that we want it to be changed, we thought, hey, someone's got to be the change, and why not be us? And that's pretty much where we decided to branch out, unite together, because as individuals we're like chopsticks. We're very easy to break, but together we're a bit more like the blackberry bush, a little bit harder to remove.
Yeah, 100%. It's something that hunters and shooters and fishers and fall drivers have been calling for a long time. It is quite hard to get these groups. It's hard enough to get shooters and hunters, or just even shooters, to work together, let alone, all these other organisations. But, with this whole green agenda being pushed constantly, you're seeing more and more of people wanting to work together to do stuff. So we'll get to know you first, Patrick. Where are you from?
From Sydney. Originally grew up in Western Sydney. Now live up in the mountains, a little bit away from the hustle of the big smoke. But I grew up like any normal kid in Western Sydney, except I had no access to the bush. I didn't do any camping as a kid. I didn't hunt. I only started fishing when I was in my teens and had the capacity to move and get into it. And it wasn't really until I joined the military that I actually got into the shooting, hunting sports. And it was actually until after being a veggie for a few years that I actually got really into the hunting, because the health consequences of being a veggie were pretty impactful on me. And it was at that point where it was either stay vegetarian and probably lose my job because my physical performance was reducing, or make some change. And the ethical side to me was to fish more, start hunting for some red meat, and the passion and direction just followed from there. And to now where I am, spending a fair bit of my free time and my own money and advocating for the sport. So
yeah, beautiful. So what made you become a vegetarian?
I actually did a job in an abattoir once, and the job in the abattoir was I was only there for about 6 hours, and the eeriness of the place kind of put me off. That afternoon, I stopped eating meat, and it wasn't that I had really an issue with meat. It was the ethical practice of farming that kind of got me off. So I wouldn't say, not farming, that's the wrong word. The meat industry, it was what got me. It wasn't necessarily the agricultural side. It was more the end state, and I think that what got me out of it was, absolute physical performance reduced so much it wasn't funny. I had, access to an AIS dietitian that tried to guide me through it, and I still couldn't achieve it. And she actually said to me, if you stay on this pathway, you're only going to deteriorate physically, and I have bills to pay, so I had to make a decision, and the way around that was take ownership of my meat, and yeah, now I'm almost a borderline carnivore in the way I eat. So yeah, big change.
So, what type of abattoirs was it? My first job out of school, well, even while I was in school at the end of school, I worked on a lamb and goat abattoir slaughter floor. So, what was it about the abattoir that turned you off?
I don't know specifically. It was just the place had an eeriness to it. This was at night time the job was in, so there was no actual slaughter going on at the time. Like it was like an after hours event, if that makes sense, going into the place. So it was a job. I'm a health. I'm a paramedic by trade, so it's kind of involved in that we were in there, and yeah, it just got me to a point where yeah, I really didn't like being in it, and I think. Yeah, I've had had a lot of reflection since then, and I think it was more so the fact that I was asking someone else to do my work for me, and that's where the issue laid.
Yeah.
Not so much the circle of life and the eating of meat. It was more the putting the hands into someone else, putting that dirty task into someone else's hands didn't sit well at the time, and yeah, it's definitely led to a great place where I am, and I'm kind of glad I went through that journey.
Yeah, man, the abattoirs do make or break people. Like I grew up hunting, fishing, shooting. Watching pop butcher animals quite young of age. Lived on small acreage for a bit, and watched my stepdad butcher sheep and helped him do that. But yeah, walking into a slaughter floor for the first time was a bit eye opening, especially when they were doing like 4,600 animals a day. It's pretty confronting. I think the line was doing about 10 and a half, 11 animals a minute, which is just absolutely insane. But unfortunately, with the food industry we need that type of thing to be around. It's not the greatest, but it definitely makes or breaks people. The amount of people that would walk in and then just turn around and never come back.
I don't have anything against anyone who's in the industry either. Like it was my way of looking at it, and
Oh, it's not for everyone.
Yeah, and I think if more people maybe took that approach of it's not for them, and just move on, we might have a bit of an easier going world.
Yeah, that's it. Like I said, it's not the prettiest of things, and it can be quite confronting. So, especially like the terms of the different areas on a slaughter floor as well. Stuff like blood pit and all these different things. It can be, yeah, you can tell why it turns some people off of eating meat, and turn them against that whole thing. But it's good to see you eventually come back over to the light side. You said you're basically on a carnivore diet. How's that going for you?
That's probably the best thing that's ever happened to me physically. Dramatic reduction in inflammation, huge performance benefits, and I work shift work, so I'm already in a bit of a physical performance deficit, I guess, with that. So I have to do everything I can to stay fit and healthy. And one of those things I found is just the diet works well, like it does for me anyway. It's reduced inflammation. It's made me more aware. My cognitive function's improved, and my steady state on a night shift, I don't feel as hungry or as tired and fatigued. So yeah, for me, it's a great thing. I'd suggest everyone give it a shot. It probably isn't for everyone, but I think what's 5 to 10 days of trialing something going to do to you? Probably nothing. Nothing bad.
Definitely. I'm currently back on the carnivore diet. I jump back and forth between it. If anyone's going to try it, push for 30 days, 10, 12 days. That's kind of when you're still kicking sugar and, changing from running on carbohydrates to fats. So you don't have energy around, that 8th, 9th, 10th day can be pretty hard, especially like about 4 or 5 days in, you get the sugar withdrawals, and that sucks. It's
it can be a bit miserable, but it's one of those things that makes you realize how reliant you are on things you probably shouldn't be all that reliant on, and if you are what you eat, I want to be like a bull. So.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I find it's heaps better. I've got more energy. I lose weight so much quicker, and that seems to be my thing. I lose weight. I get under like the weight I want to be, and then I get off carnivore for a bit, and then put it all back on, and then go lose it all again when I jump on carnivore and intermittent fasting. But yeah, it's good. I've got heaps more energy.
I'll say absolutely. My skin's better.
Oh,
Who would think a bloke would care about that? But yeah, it's a massive improvement.
Yeah, it's crazy. I got two guys, one of my managers from work and one of my mates I was talking about earlier. They're both on carnivore to lose weight as well. I said to my mate, I'm like, you want to come to New South Wales hunting with me for the raw? You got to lose some weight. So he's been coming to the gym and he's on carnivore with me to get him to that point.
Well, there's some good hills. Every kilo less on the belly is going to help with some of those hills.
That's it, and that's what I told him. It's brutal. Not as bad as New Zealand, but it can be pretty hard going in some of those hills there.
Oh yeah.
So, can you give us a brief history of how Australian Recreation Union came about?
Yeah. So originally, I got poached and brought in, I guess, into what was the New South Wales board of the Shooters Union back in maybe 18 months ago, maybe a bit longer. And I got pretty much poached by one of the fellas in there who was the president at the time because on Facebook I was happy to call a spade on some of these groups, and I was kind of regularly saying things, and it was enough that he noticed that my name kept popping up, so he convinced me to donate my time to the Shooters Union. I rose up through there, was a secretary and vice president, and we did a lot of great things, and we're moving in quite a good direction. We got involved pretty heavily with a few things that we managed to protect in New South Wales, and the reason why I won't say specifically what they are is because I don't want to give antis the idea to push those items. But for the New South Wales shooters, be advised that you were under a lot of risk of some significant changes that managed to be avoided. So we kept them from happening, which was good. So we were getting a lot of momentum. We got involved in the lead projectile ban. Some organisations might suggest that they were the only people involved in it. It's not the truth. There was a lot of involvement from a lot of organisations. It was probably the first time we had a bit of collective coming together on one point to ban to get rid of that lead ammunition ban, and we did really well. By doing that in Victoria, we started to actually pick up a bit of momentum down there, and we got asked to assist with an incoming threat to bow hunting. So you guys might know the Animal Justice Party, Georgie Purcell. She's made it that after what happened in South Australia, it's going to be her goal to achieve. She got quite loud about it, and we wanted to help. Unfortunately, our national organisation, our national leadership team, were very hesitant to get involved in that. Their idea was we're a shooting organisation, we should really stick to shooting until we're more approached. That didn't sit well at all with the New South Wales team, and noting what was happening in WA and South Australia, we thought that we needed to make a change. We had all been listening to lots of feedback from lots of organisations who had suggested they wanted to see change, and we needed to be that change. We made the decision to pull away with no hard feelings to Shooters Union, but we needed to be broader. And one of the reasons we also went broad is because we might have a lot of sympathy being from organisations and companies being with Shooters Union because they, have hunters in their workforces and stuff like that. But as soon as they affiliated with a shooting organisation, they felt that they would be targeted, especially things like through e-commerce, etc. So by going a bit broader, we thought that we would hit a few more points. We'd be a little bit less divisive just on looks. Don't judge a book by its cover, but it's what happens. It's how the world works. So yeah, we chose a broad approach, get everyone involved, be united in how we do things, and specifically by choosing union for the wording, it was that was very strategic. It wasn't an accident. We wanted to bring everyone together, as the Oxford Dictionary definition suggests. So yeah, that's kind of how we became a thing, and the whole New South Wales board has transitioned over to us, and some of the other shooters union teams, members in other states have also slowly joined us, and we've actually picked up more people along the way. So we've picked up some prominent influencers, which are great for helping us get along. And we've also picked up some other advocates in other states that have decided, hey, they like what we're doing. They've seen us get active and they want to fight with us, which is awesome.
That's awesome to hear. Are you able to talk about some of the influencers, or that's not out
Yeah.
publicly yet?
No, they definitely push us and we're pushing them. So my two favourites, I guess, we've got Simon Christie from Full Drive TV, who's been an absolute legend. He listened to all of our complaints and our fight, and he knew that, initially it was just two blokes who were going to try and go big. With this, he knew that we wouldn't have the ability to reach. He's a bit of a social media master. He's got 1.8 million followers on his page, and he said, "Look, I'm going to give you all my help, and I'm going to help work with you to get this." And he did. He's gotten us off the ground, which is an amazing thing. Another influencer that a couple that we're aligned with up in North Queensland is Boring Australia. Dan and Nat are legends. They've been helping push us to a different community. We're not from the pig hunting community, but that's a pretty big, powerful, noisy mob, and we want to be a part of them. So yeah, definitely we've joined up with those guys, and one of the reasons why we joined specifically with them is they are absolute ambassadors of what it is to be an Australian family. They fish together, they hunt together, they work hard together. They are the traditional, what I would say is a traditional North Queensland family, and they are great role models of it. So we love them. They've been great, again, pushing us into the pig.
That's awesome.
Pig community. Again, not something we're about, or were about anyway. Like, we were mainly deer hunters down here, but I've definitely taken a fancy to knocking over pigs for farmers since, and it's growing. So yeah, we're looking for more people to team up with and join with us, and yourself helping us with your podcast is massive. But we're definitely trying to align with as many people as we can, because we're not about taking over anyone else's club, business, etc. We just want to unite everyone, because we know that when we go into Parliament, which we do quite regularly, when we tell a politician we represent a million people, a million votes, that gets us somewhere. Right? When you say you represent a club of 250 people, they laugh at you. So yeah, we're trying to align with as many people as possible, get as many members as we can, and definitely grow like that. We're not trying to take away from any other club or organisation. It's not what we want to do.
That's awesome to hear. Simon's an absolute legend. Boring Australia. I haven't actually come across their stuff yet, so I'm going to, as soon as this podcast is finished, I'm going to jump on and go have a look there. I've been looking for piggers to have on, because it's not something that I've done much of. I've done a little bit in New Zealand, and any listener of the podcast knows my struggles with hunting pigs here in Australia. I've haven't had much luck.
Dan and Nat have an amazing YouTube channel, great social media presence. They got a little bit of merchandise, but they're a great couple that definitely shows it well, shows it like how it is, which That's is what awesome. We love. So yeah, I definitely suggest you yourself and your listeners to look at them up. They're great.
No, that's so good to hear. It's something that we've spoken about on this podcast countless times. You said that you've done some research listening to a few of the more politically ones that I've done recently. There's been Aussie. I've had Carly on from No More National Parks, or Victorians against the Great Forest National Park. She's under many titles there. Yeah. I've had Marcus bush culture. Oz Camper on TikTok and Instagram. He's very very voiceful. You've probably seen his face on all of the Great Northern stuff.
Oh yeah, it's great.
It was either Simon's face or Marcus's face. I've had Kate Fentanyl on. I've had a bunch of people on. One that will be released just before this episode is Philip Big from Tasmania. So
Yep.
you should know him fairly well, being a former member of the Shooters Union. He runs things down there in Tassie. But he seems like he's doing an awesome job, especially on the Shooters Fishers Farmers Party side of things, which is amazing to hear. And yeah, it's something that we've all been calling for ages, but no one's wanted to put their hand up to do it. I was affiliated with Firearm Owners United. I was a state rep for them when they were running things, but it was just one of those things where you couldn't get people to work together. There's too many egos, too many personalities, and everyone wants something slightly different, and no one could meet in between. So it is good having an organization where you're going to be able to work with all these other different organizations and get stuff done without egos getting involved.
An example of that, of an organisation we're lining up with and not trying to take over, is the APDHA, the Australian Pig Dog Hunters Association. We love them. They've got a great approach. Again, not a pig. That's not my thing, but you can't argue with the way they do business. They have amazing science behind their approach. They're validating their opinions with independent evidence, and they are showing the world that we're not a bunch of rednecks that know nothing. We're professional individuals that, maybe a little rough around the edges at times, but we are professionals who are invested in this lifestyle. We're not pigman from the USA. We are a very different culture over here. And what we're doing is ethical, and what we're doing is good for the environment. And unlike people maybe in the inner city that call themselves a green, we're actual custodians of the bush. We understand stewardship. We appreciate the places that we have access to, and we're not going to just let them get wiped away like some people may think.
Yeah, that's it. Look, it is a learning curve when it comes to the being a steward of the land. We're all young and stupid at times. We've all made mistakes going out bush and doing the wrong thing. But the fact is, you got to learn from that, and that's where and maturity kicks in, and getting guidance from someone that's been in it for a long time. They'll help you skip those downfalls, and that's what we need to be like. Whether it's hunters, fishers, fall drivers, you need to start taking the young guys out there, young guys and girls out there, and showing them what to do, what's right, so that they don't have to have that learning curve.
Oh, absolutely. As I said to you before, my journey was alone in this. I slowly entered it. A very strange way. Not having any hunters or fishers in the family, but the next generation is what we need to capture, so we don't have a missed generation of this. And I think more people should realise that going out bush with your family is a pretty proactive mental health and family health strategy. We sometimes get caught up in the hustle and bustle of life. And I can promise you, having just come back from a couple of days of Stradbroke Island camping, that getting away without the phone, without connection to your life at home is incredibly therapeutic, and it's covert mental health management, and something that I think we all could do a little bit more of.
Yeah, 100%. And that's what a lot of these people don't understand. That escape to the bush is something that helps people with their mental health. I've said it on this podcast before. Myself, I've never personally dealt with any mental health issues. I think it's because I'm fortunate enough and get out a lot. So, it never really... It's never really able to be built up, I'm able to get rid of it before it even presents itself, which, I'm fortunate. But, it does hit everyone differently. But it's one thing that we were saying with this bow hunting ban here in South Australia. Like, as you can see behind me on my wall, there's a dozen bows on the wall behind me. And it's a bunch of people, they're like, bow hunting was my mental health escape. That's how I got a, if there's bills building up, or shit's going on at work, that's how I got out. But yeah, they just did not take that approach. Like, they just did not care, which is just absolutely crazy.
Well, anyone who's shot a bow knows you cannot be thinking about anything else when you're shooting that bow, whether that be at a target or an animal. So it's one of the most mindful practices I think anyone can do. And the stigma still exists around mental health. Gents don't want to be forcing it onto themselves. They don't want to be thinking that they're going down that pathway. But when they're doing all these little covert activities, that they're doing the right thing. So we should be encouraging it, not taking it away.
Yeah, that's it. It seems that Australia's in a state where it's take, 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 as we're seeing with national park stuff, as we're seeing in WA with the gun laws, as we're seeing in South Australia with bow hunting and lockups in national parks, and snapper bans, fishing regulations. It's just take, take, take.
Absolutely, it is. And it won't slow down under the current system, which is why we need to stop being reactionary in how we deal with these things, be proactive, and which kind of comes into, what makes the ARU different is our goal is to actually strategically force change through political advocacy, through political representation, and eventually, hopefully, by being such a big, powerful organisation that we can lobby, because we all know that lobbying does achieve outcomes in government. I think gone are the times where we could be quiet and just hope to not be touched. That's not working. And gone are the times where we can just get in the media after it, because the media doesn't care about us. The media is not aligned to us at the moment. So reactionary, loud, shows after the event aren't as strong as what they used to be. I'd like them to be, but that's just not the way it works these days. So, our purpose is to be changing the face of politics. That's our strategic goal. The way we want to do it, and probably what makes us a little bit different to other groups. Because I don't just talk to politicians that are on our side. Whilst it's important to keep people on our side, I don't need to convert a hunter to be a hunter. I need to convert Animal Justice Party to understand why I do what I do. So we have meetings with all sides of politics, because unfortunately I don't need to convert. Well, fortunately, I don't need to convert the hunter to be a hunter. I need to convert the person who's opposed to it to see from my view, which is why we have those conversations.
Yeah, that's definitely a hard one, especially when some of those people are so far gone on that side. There's not always a good chance of changing their mind, let alone changing their perspective on things. It can happen. I've had conversations with vegans in the past, especially when the whole controversy stuff popped up, the cat saga, a few years back. But it's a difficult thing. But you're definitely better to try and change those minds of the people that are sitting on the fence, that are in between, like you were,
Absolutely.
against factory farming style practices.
I think it's one of those things too. A lot of people don't know. I think what they're actually fighting or hardlined against. If they've never seen the process, if they've never spoken to someone, if they've never put a face to the to our side of things, they don't really understand where we're coming from. Social media influences. The hard left specifically are very, very good at manipulating influence through social media. All right, we know kids don't read the news. Kids don't look beyond what they see. They see a 15 to 30-second clip that's flashy, fills them with dopamine, and sells a message. And that's why it's so impactful on them. So, we got younger and younger politicians. I'll just use the AJP as an example. You got these young, influential young girls that have gotten to New South Wales and Victoria, and they're powerful. They're living on the Kool-Aid. So it's not until they see someone and go, hey, this bloke's actually a normal individual who has served society in a professional capacity. He's doing it to feed his family and trying to take out the unethical side of it, because the bloke used to be a vegetarian. Like, it kind of changes things, and they can relate, because I can relate to them. I understand what they're actually talking about. So sometimes those conversations are hard. Actually, all the time, those conversations are tough. But, I think if more of us had conversations rather than fighting each other, and we open dialogue, we will find more common ground, and we might get away from this hard left, hard right stance that we have to be in, and find that the middle is where most of society actually probably wants to be.
Yeah, look, I've heard stories of people meeting these people in Parliament, and they say they're not as bad as they make themselves out to be on social media, and they can actually sit down and have a reasonable conversation, and they do get certain sides of things. But what makes it very, very difficult for outdoor recreationists to get their point across is that there's a lot of hotheads on social media. And what do? They go to these people, they leave disgusting comments, send disgusting messages, and then they use those messages and comments for social media, likes and comments and stuff like that. And they're very, very good at doing it, and they know that it's going to get lots of reaction from their side of the fence when they play the sexist card, when they play the, discrimination card, when they, all these different things.
100%, and we've got a perfect example of that in, Georgie Purcell Copter.
Yeah, that's who I'm talking about.
She does it deliberately. She's not silly. She's knows very the smart game. She's playing the game, and we need to play the game back. That's the difference. So we are playing the game back. We've got a lovely member of our team, Kai, who loves to fight her, because Kai herself is a well-accomplished female survivalist.
Kai, she's an awesome person.
She's a legend. It's really hard to call her sexist misogynist when she's not. She's a powerful, independent woman who is an absolute advocate for what we do. And you know what? Georgie doesn't fight her back in the comments.
She doesn't respond to her.
Doesn't respond to her. So that's the approach we need to take. We need to be strategic. And this is why I say to everyone, a lot of guys don't want to get their wives and girlfriends into this lifestyle because they like the boys' time away. I get it. I understand it. But when your wife is passionate or your girlfriend is passionate about something, they tend to fight pretty hard for it. We all know what it's like to be told you will be doing this when you thought you were going to get away for the weekend. But the other thing, the other reason why I say get your wives and girlfriends into it is it gets more voters, because they'll start voting on your interests. Gets more numbers in the firearms registry, because they hate that. Add more numbers, because you've now nearly doubled our workforce by getting the girls involved. And the other thing is, if your missus is into it, it's a bit easier to sell that new gun to her, that new bow, because, sweetheart, we're going to take it out together. We're going to have family time together, So, there's a strategic side to bringing in more ladies and bringing in partners into this pursuit and lifestyle. And but yeah, one of the specific ones is they're very, very smart on social media, and we all need to be like that. We need to be strategic. We need to be well thought out in our approach, because the hot-headedness that she's baiting for is going to get us in trouble. She knows exactly what she's doing, so we play with her rules, and we fight her back on her with her methods, and that's the only way we'll win.
Yeah, I've joked around a few times. I so badly, if I had the time and the effort and just wanted to, I would love to do like a hunting version of her Instagram page, where she does all these purple, these purple posts with all these cute little animals, and like just like a troll page for a laugh, but to show people how silly she's being. Where it's just like, she puts all the hate comments on. I've got thousands of death threats from vegans and anti-hunters. Like, I could have a field day with posting all those up, all the sexist comments towards men that all these vegan women post up,
Mate, you know what these people hate? They hate just being ignored. And I found that, or you just like their comment. And I don't know what it is, but it seems to encourage more rage. I'm not upset. It doesn't worry me. There's no way they're going to stop me going for a hunt or fish, and I'm going to be more happier doing it. So it's strategic in how you approach it, and by being the bigger man, as they say sometimes, it plays out. It gets in their head. You're living rent free.
Yeah. Oh,
We're winning.
I've sent invitations out to Georgie to do a podcast and no reply. She opens all the angry messages, but no, nice messages saying, "Hey, jump on, come to a podcast. Let's chat. Let's try and meet in the middle somewhere." But I know it's never going to happen.
Well, unfortunately, New South Wales, our AJP representative here, she's much better on that.
Emma
She's willing to have a
Hurst.
chat. Emma Hurst is much more approachable. She's definitely someone we can find common ground in a conversation with. And she's not going to come and go pig hunting with us. It's not going to happen. But she's at least willing to have a conversation. And I'd be lying if I said we wouldn't be willing to work with her in the future. She definitely is a smart lady who has a different approach to politics, and it's probably why she'll be successful and why Georgie probably won't.
Yeah, look, at the end of the day, there is almost more that we can meet in the middle with these people than we have in different. Like it's crazy. Like we can put our differences aside and work together to do good stuff. Because we don't like cruelty to animals. Like there's all these
100%.
different things. There's all that, some of their views are more extreme. Like ban racing, ban this, ban that, ban pet ownership. There's a few crazy ones in there. But we can meet in the middle on a lot of these topics. But
Absolutely.
Like you're saying, we just got to stop with this hot-headed rage stuff. I know it's funny to troll vegans at times. We all get a laugh out of it. I've gotten a laugh out of it. I had a page, Hunters against anti-hunters, years ago when all this cat stuff started, and all it was me posting all the death threats I got and like the replies of me sending love hearts back to them, and like you said, they get even more upset. But still at times I still laugh and I still will message them nicely back and post their response, but I don't do it as much as I used to. And I feel that's my learning curve there. But it's just something that we need to get through. Moving on, what are your key goals as an organisation, and what will set you apart from other shooting groups?
That's the question. Our key goals. Our goal is to unite the recreational sports, bring them all together. So that's the broad side of things. Bring everyone together, make our numbers quite sizable, so that when we go into Parliament, we say we're representing a big part of the population. Because there's three ways you can really affect political change. You either bring them in yourself, which takes a lot of time to develop politicians. You can provide them with lots of lobbying money, which I can promise you right now, the Australian Recreation Union has not got. Love to have some big donors come in, but we don't have that at the moment. And the other way is to say you represent a big portion of votes, especially in all the marginal seats in the swing areas. And New South Wales is a great example of that recently, with the Libertarian Party taking up a load of seats in the council elections. Now, that might be a bit because the Liberal Party failed to put their nominations in, but it still snapped it up, and it was enough to notice that Chris Minns, our Premier, made comments specifically saying that he would be stupid to ignore the growth of that party. So having big numbers is our big thing. So we need to unite everyone so that we're a common and powerful voice, so that when we walk into Parliament and say I'm representing 30% of the voters of New South Wales or whatever state that we're talking about, that people go, oops, I really need to think about this, and maybe the way I vote is being checked. So that's definitely one of the big things. One of the other things we want to do is we want to increase our numbers, specifically of things like firearms owners, of more bow hunters. We want to increase our four-wheel drive numbers because we want to increase the industry that supports them. All right, so by increasing the amount of demand there is for it, we hope to not be, as in the future, reliable on other nations to support us. Any firearms owner will know at the moment, ammunition is getting really expensive, and it's getting really hard to source components to even make your own. Firearms themselves are also growing out of control, and anyone who's buying anything from the US knows our dollar is crap and it costs a lot of money. I don't know about you, but I love Australian made products. When sometimes I'm willing to pay the premium for them, but Australian made is where I would like it. But to make it in Australia, there needs to be demand. So we need to see more and more people into these things. The other thing we're specifically looking at is our support of veterans and first responders. Not so much just to individually support those two communities, but we want to use those two communities as an example of how proactive being outside is for your mental health, as we've talked about already. We want to push that a lot further than maybe other organisations have. We've got a vested interest in that myself. I'm a veteran and I'm also a paramedic, so it's quite important to me to look after these communities, and so that's something I definitely want to focus on, but use that as a catalyst to focus on all of mental health, etc. Because currently, as you know, in the firearms community specifically, mental health is a very taboo subject because of the restrictions that it comes with. If you mention you have any problems, you're more likely to find yourself losing your access to the thing that's keeping you sane. So we want to see that change because not everyone with mental health is a risk to society. In fact, most people with mental health are nothing of a risk to society. In fact, so yeah, we want to see the changes in that. But we want to see, Australian kids getting outside. We want to see Australian kids who know how to set up a tent. We want to see Australian kids who know how to navigate through the bush. We want these things to continue on for generations to come. As I said before, we want that stewardship to grow with them. We don't want these kids thinking that they can treat the bush like crap. We want them to care deeply about it and to care deeply about everything that's inside it as well. I think we've had a couple of generations before mine that may have had a bit of an absence from the outdoors, and with having that absence, they've probably lost their sense of connection to country, and I think we can see that change. So that's the main things that the Australian Recreation Union is trying to do. What was the second part of the question?
And how you've pretty much answered all of it. So.
Oh, perfect. So yeah, that's kind of the goals, I guess, and how we're going to try and do some things. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. Speaking of veterans, have you heard of Veteran Hunts Australia? Do you work with them? Nigel.
So Veteran Hunts Australia, we've posted things back and forward. They definitely help us regards to spreading our message. We're actually getting some of their key players to assist us with some content footage for our people. We're going to get some expert shooters to do some field firing education components.
Beautiful.
But yeah, we definitely, the Veterans Hunt Australia, they're already an established group, and
they're doing some great things.
They're doing great things. They're fighting good fights that need to happen. But one of the specific things that we're really against is if you have a DBA card, as an example, if you were to mention that, you have to get forced to get a psychological assessment. So you've got a benefit as a result of service to your nation, but now they're going to discriminate you and make you get further testing for something that you haven't proven any reason to not have. So things like that, we're pretty against that. We continue to push and speak to legislators to change, but yeah, specifically we want to get a bit more involved in the science and proactively look to prove what we already know, that being outside is good for mental health, it's good for community, and get some numbers behind that so we can say to government, this is important, and we'd like some of your funding to make programs for these people.
That's awesome. That's great to hear. Many of these shooting organisations have struggled and failed in the past. What do you reckon are the main reasons for that, and how is ARU going to be different?
So as I think I've mentioned it already, I think the main reason we've found that these other organisations have struggled in some of their advocacy is based off the fact that it's generally reactionary. It's always something that we get onto later on. We find out about a problem, it comes up in the media, and by the time it's in the media, it's already bolted out of the gate. It's very, very hard to stop, especially in the firearms part where you have a lot of media outlets have a vested interest to be anti what we do. You've got big groups like Gun Control Australia, example, that so will be pushing against it. So we don't want to let things get that far. So we don't like the idea of being reactionary. As you've seen in WA, it's very hard to slow this down. And as some of your guests have already suggested, there's probably only two ways they can fix that. They either get really lucky and we have a political shift, which God, I hope occurs, but, very hard to achieve in that specific state. And the other way is legal action is successful, because if legal action is unsuccessful, it creates case law that could jeopardise future things. So we don't want to see unsuccessful case law. So I'd love to see a political solution come about that. I don't know if it will happen, but I really hope. So again, the way things have been done typically is we react to the issue, or we have organisations that create deals with government to kind of let themselves sneak through the problems. That's not kind of how we do things. We don't have the capacity to make deals in that regards, because we don't own ranges. We don't have a reason to profit. So it's not really the issue for us. So yeah, that's the main thing, is we want to hit things before they happen, be proactive, and create such a big community. I don't care if you're an SSAA member, Shooters Union member, ADA member. I really don't. It's not really an issue. And in fact, if you've got spare money, be a part of them all, support them all. I think that's the best way to go about business. Get yourself access to everyone around you that can support your interests. But so yeah, I don't know. I think the difference is, we're not as reactionary. We're definitely proactive, and we're making really good relationships with legislators. That's probably our biggest thing that we do a bit differently. When we were in Shooters Union, we made those relationships that are personal. So when we came across, there was no redeveloping of a line. It was, they knew us by name, and it's been really, I think it's been quite effective in helping us kind of start the ball rolling in this new organisation.
That's awesome to hear. You said that we react with a lot of this stuff, and you're trying to be proactive. Do you think there's any harm with getting onto stuff too soon before all the information's out there, and more like putting fear? So with a lot of this bow hunting ban here in South Australia, I knew about it pretty early, but there was not a lot of information out of there. So I held my tongue and waited for more and more information to come out, because you don't always know all the facts that are coming through and how things are going about. So you don't want to be wrong, and you don't want to just be one of those people that are jumping at shadows. So how do you go about that?
It's a really tough place to be. So specifically with that example, I think it's how we approach it. So, for example, I've already said that we've had a few little wins that we don't talk too much about. Those wins are done in the back room. So the deals that occur in politics, a lot of things are dealt with a handshake. For example, I'm good friends with a politician. I have a problem with something that is coming through. I know that potential that politician is going to be needed for a vote for something else that's going to be needed, and that vote probably won't upset their constituents to vote on. So, for example, I go and tell the politician that we deal with that, say, bow hunting is being banned in New South Wales. There is plans to ban bow hunting in New South Wales. I really don't like that. I've got a lot of voters that also don't like that. I know you don't like that because you have a sympathy towards what I'm doing, but I know that this party is going to ask you to vote on this, and they're going to need you to vote on this to get it through. If they put bow hunting, I want you to not vote for it. And then they go to their mates, and they go across the hallway and they speak to their other mate, and they go, hey, you need me to vote for this, but if I vote for this, you can't put this through. Instant gets put to bed.
Yep.
So that sometimes it's successful to get it done early.
Okay.
That's where that works. It doesn't always work, but that's where we hope, because if it gets into the media, if the thing gets traction, that's when it's usually really hard to stop. By the time it's already got traction, got into the media, lawyers have started drawing it up, working it out, fixing the solution. So, it's fixing the solution to get what they want in. So sometimes we need to be ahead of it. Sometimes we don't. The lead projectiles ban, we got rid of that at the consultation phase. So very early got ahead on it. We had it planned, that we were going to have petitions rolling. We had it planned that a couple of members were going to go and shirt front some other sides of the political landscape down there, and it was going to be. We had a multi-angular approach in how we were going to deal with that. Fortunately, the consultation phase was really strong. We had really good positive media on it, and we smashed them with a hell of a lot of science, and it never got through, and it even got legislated against. So we got it written into law the way we wanted it to be.
That's good.
So that's what being proactive is about. It's getting ahead of these things really early. And one of the things I think we're pretty on the ball with is getting into these consultation phases. We only have 5 days consultation for something. Fortunately, we've got some pretty smart people in our team that can write really good submissions, and that's probably something that helps. But when you write a submission for a group of 500 people, it has this much weight. When you write a submission on behalf of a group of 1 million people, it has a lot more weight, which is why we need membership.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, look, politics has always been something I've struggled with, and it's a lot to take in. Like with this whole Susan Close thing with the bow hunting here, that you had the consultational period. They chose not to ban bow hunting. It was under a different government at the time when they did it, and she was not happy with that. She's come in and she's gone straight to the Governor General and got it signed in as a proclamation rather than going through Parliament. How can you stop stuff like that happening? Yes, you can stop it in the consultational period, but if another politician comes in and then just finds a backdoor around it, what are these types of situations? How can someone like yourself deal with that?
It's very hard in those type of cases. That's where we need the war fund. We need a war chest of money that can provide legal consultation to take these things on at that constitutional level.
Yeah.
That is the other reason why we say we need membership, because we know we need to have a war fund for these things. Your previous guest, Lady Liberty, has already said it. These things cost a lot of money.
They do.
And they have reputation impacts to the lawyers that they're going to fight for us. So, that's I'd say case getting things seen through the courts is the last line of effort. That you don't want to get to that phase because it can go two ways. But I think for your case in South Australia, I think that's where it's really, really quite tough. But I hope it sets precedence with the impending legal action that's likely to be taken. So we're definitely watching that closely, because it could set a great precedent that they can't do that again. But it has to be done well. This is where you can't have bush lawyers like myself going into court and fighting it. You need actual professionals. There's guys like me who can be a bit ADHD and read a lot. We're not the experts, and you need experts. So yeah, hopefully that's the only way to deal with that. But this is another thing with government. You need to know your politicians. You need to know who you vote for, and you need to know where they're a bit dodgy. I'll give you an example. Just because a politician is a veteran doesn't mean I'll support them, because I really don't care what their past history is. I care about what they do now. There's a prominent veteran politician who gets people on side, gets very inflammatory, gets very loud, and people like her a lot. But when you look at what she's voted on, she's anti-gun. She's anti a lot of those things that veterans care about. So maybe she doesn't represent the veteran as much as people think. So this is where we have to do the research on our politicians. And as much as I hate it, we can't continue as a society not caring about politics. And it's where groups like us, have to use our voices and use our channels to help educate people. So I'm never going to tell someone who to vote for. That's not my job. Everyone should choose who you vote for. But I'll absolutely tell you which politicians like what you like and don't like what you like. I'll tell it to you straight. Whether that means I lose a relationship with a politician, that's fine. But I'll tell everyone what they stand for. So,
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's kind of how I think we go about those ones. But that's a tough one. What's happening in South Australia is an absolute travesty, and it should be a warning across the bow for every other state.
100%. Look, I got a question for you that's just popped into the top of my head. The other day we had our local state representative for Labor in the neighbourhood door knocking.
Yep.
And just happens I had to go put rubbish out in the bin as he was walking past, handing out his flyers. And he's walked up and, shaking my hand, and he goes to introduce himself. I'm like, I already know who you are, mate. And he goes, okay. And he goes, all right, so you know who I am. He's like, is there any issues that are on your on your cards? I'm like, where do you want me to start? I'm like, for one, your government's bow hunting ban. Yes, he's the state representative for the state in national parliament. But yeah, I brought it up to him, and he just looked mind blown. He's like, I really didn't know anything about it. I went to a local archery club 12 months ago, and nobody there mentioned anything to me. He looked absolutely shocked and appalled by it. And the guy that was, holding all the pamphlets for him, he knew all about it. So that was pretty good, because everything I said, he was confirming, and he's like, yeah, it's disgusting. He said that he mentioned he was a veteran. He mentioned that he grew up shooting, and he asked me to email him to set up a meeting to go chat about all of this. What would be your recommendations for someone like myself going in for a meeting with an MP?
So the first thing I would encourage everyone who wants to go and meet with an MP to meet with an MP. It's one of the most powerful things you can do, because you taking the time out of your day to do it is something that no one else is doing. So it sticks with them. Specifically, the other thing is, you don't want to just meet with the MP, you want to meet with their secretaries, because their secretaries have a lot of pull and a lot of weight. Right? There's a face, and then there's the neck that turns the face. All right. So I'd say you want to kind of get everyone involved. The next thing, everyone judges a book by its cover. If you're going into Parliament, suit up. It makes a big difference the way you present yourself, because you will just be immediately dismissed if you don't present in a smart manner. So you can have a beard. You can. You don't even have to wear a full suit, but a jacket and proper shirt and proper pants goes a long way.
So this won't be in Parliament, and this will be just in his local council headquarters or whatever they are. So
I would still say it's your appearance.
Dress nicely, yeah.
Dress well, dress to impress, because it matters. It does leave an impression. When you're approaching these people, you need to come at them from the side of, you're representing more than yourself. You're not just Zach, a bow hunter from South Australia, who's upset about the loss. You're Zach, who's speaking on behalf of all of your mates, all of their mates who have lost their access, and you're going to tell that story of lost access. All right, you've got to push it that it's bigger than you, because one is none in politics. All right, the many is what they worry about. So it's you've got to tell the story, and you've got to be the way you do it has to be reasonable. You need to tell what it is. You need to have the facts. You can't come in there with pure emotion. You need to know what the legislation changes are, what you're actually trying to change, and you need to have a solution, because these people aren't thinking of how to fix your complaint. They just know you're complaining. All right, so give them your complaint, give them why it's wrong, and give them a solution that's reasonable. You've got to impart that plan onto them, and a little bit of Jedi mind tricks goes a long way. Follow it up, make it out like it's their idea. If you make it out that you've empowered that individual, as an example. As we discussed, I really liked your idea that maybe we could approach it this way. By empowering it onto them and making them feel like they made the change, they're the hero in the story, and it seems to work really well with people in powerful positions. Make them the hero of the story, set them up for success, and they'll probably go down the pathway you want. So a little bit of psychological operations, manipulation, but it's the way business is done. So dress to impress, know your facts, give them a solution, and then make it out as their idea fix. That's the way I would suggest you deal with politicians.
Yeah, beautiful. Like I said, he's a state representative, so I'm not sure how much pull he's going to have on, to the Deputy Premier of South Australia. But yeah, I'm going to go in and just have a chat to him about it. You know, on his pamphlet, it said he loves barbecuing. So what am I going to do? I'm going to bring a esky
Bring
with
some
some
barbecue.
venison, bring some venison down there for him to have. So,
Nice.
you know, I'm probably be the first guy to rock up with some samba steaks down there for him. So,
Politicians do love gifts, so yeah, they that's always another nice way to go about things. But I think federal, state, even council, all levels of politics need to be addressed appropriately with enough concern, because some land is federal land, some land is council land, some land is state land. But specifically with the firearms thing, if the federal side of things changes and bans things, it trickles downhill. That definitely goes downhill. So it's important to discuss it, and don't just go with one idea. Like if you're gonna bust half an hour of someone's time, go there with a couple of things. Make it worth your effort of going into Parliament as well, or into their offices. But the big one I really suggest is follow it up with an email.
yep.
Show that you're serious about it. It's not just a one-off thing, and kind of advise, like make it out that you're going to hassle them. That you're gonna be a little bit of a pest. You're not upsetting them, but you're going to be a little thorn in that boot that kind of keeps digging its way in.
Yeah, so he said email him, so I emailed him that afternoon, so that should show some keenness there.
Some urgency, yeah.
And yes, I'm planning to go in there with not just the bow hunting ban, but the duck hunting stuff here. We've got a bit of land access issues down in the York Peninsula down here. They're blocking off campers and four drivers from accessing beaches and camping on the beaches, and that's what that whole area runs on, is tourists going down there for driving, fishing and camping. And yeah, a couple other things to do with fishing and hunting. So these are the things I'll be going down there with. I'll try and print off some documents and try and look somewhat professional. Go down there,
Zach, sounds like you need to be the South Australian representative of the
AAU. We'll chat about it, but I'm good on the media side of stuff, the communication side of stuff. So I've been working with a candidate down here for Shooters, Fishers, Farmers Party. I'm just like, I'll help you out, but I'll just do media and contacts. I'll get you in contact with people, and I'll talk people's ear off for you.
That's important work. It has to happen.
That's it. Speaking of politics, what is your approach to advocacy and political engagement, and how does activism and policy development and political influence fit into your strategy?
Well, fair few things to unpack there. So our approach is make friends. We're more flies with honey than vinegar. So that's our definite approach. We want to come out at all politicians, have conversations, have meaningful conversations, and again, remind them that your voters do pay attention and do think of what you're doing. So whether that be Labor, Liberal, Nationals, Shooters, Farmers, Libertarian, One Nation, Independent, we'll talk to you all. AJP, I'll talk to you all. So we definitely are there to remind them that there is a large voting population, especially in all these swing areas, that is paying attention and does care about what's happening. One of the other things we do is we've aligned with as many organisations as we can, as I said, to highlight that we are a big voice in this community. One of the groups we've aligned with is called the Aligned Councils. There are a lot of businessmen. There are about 1 million people in that organisation. And they run a lot of business for around Australia. They're very influential people as a general rule. And they've got families that vote. So when we kind of let them know that we're trying to deal with an anti-freedom type thing, they definitely pass that around their circles, because that's something that's definitely become a bit of a talking point currently. Some of the things that we, I guess, are doing a little bit differently is our regular engagements in Parliament. So not just, when we know there's an issue, we're kind of forecasting it and planning and scheduling just to be dealing with politicians nearly every month. So rather than just waiting for the incident or getting some intel, trying to book a time and stressing about a time, we've kind of pre-booked our way through the year, if that makes sense. So we're kind of ahead of the curve. We own the time as a loose way of putting it. So by owning their time already, they know that we're a serious organisation that's hassling them, because that's what your big lobbyist groups do. Your big lobbyist groups are regularly there. They're always there. They've got passes, to be there, to be in their faces. So that's what we're doing the same as. We're trying to play by the rules that are set by others to our advantage. The other things I guess that we're definitely pushing is, as I said, we're playing by the rules that others have set. The very hard anti-left woke are playing around with the social media, creating the content, giving people their little dopamine hits, and that's something that we're definitely pushing. So we're slowly developing social media. We are predominantly everyone. I'm the youngest, I think, and everyone's over the age of 32. So, all the way into their late 50s. So we're not the social media experts that some are. But we're working on that. I've learnt how to use Reels lately. That's and add music.
Congratulations.
I feel like I'm 10 years younger.
You look it.
So like these are things that we've definitely started to play around with. We know that these high impact TikTok, Instagram, Reels, etc., have a place in influencing people's ideas. So we're definitely about that. And the other thing is, we know that if you're a part of an organisation, you kind of want something out of it. Gone are the days where society just puts money into, political parties. They haven't got the money to do that. They can't just support whoever they want just because they feel it's the right thing to do. So we are trying to work with Australian local businesses to offer something back for that service. So specifically in like the firearms community, Razorback Outdoors here in Sydney, in North Richmond, have jumped on board with us, and they're offering ARU members exclusive discounts. So, whilst I may say, for example, cost you $20 a year to join the Australian Recreations Union, which you can use as an AHO for your R licence in New South Wales as an example, so already I think quite valuable of a membership, you could potentially save well over $20 on a 5%, as a rough figure type thing, discount on a firearm. So it's almost like, it's negligent to buy the membership to get the discounts. So I'm trying to upsell it, but I guess as a general rule, my idea is, we will try where we can to provide value for our memberships, be that we can become genuine reasons for firearms owners, group hunting organisations for your club reasons, etc. Our goal is to hopefully by June, I think is the kind of end state, to be a genuine reason across the nation. So that'll help, reduce the costs for some people who really are actually struggling to pay the memberships of other organisations. We don't want to see them lose their guns and lose their access because they couldn't pay for a membership. So I'm not trying to take over. We're just another group, another option. But yeah, providing value for our members, to get our members, because we need that money in the war chest so that when we need an advertising campaign like Blood Origin's done with their billboards, when I need to sponsor posts to get rapidly people to sign a petition, when I need to potentially call upon the King's Council to fight for our sport, that we have the capacity to do so. And because generally running a little business like this costs money. Like I'm not taking any cash from this. I've given a lot of my own dollars because I really do believe in this. But I think, that's kind of the difference between how we're doing things and where we're trying to be valuable for people to be a part of us. But even if you're not going to financially support us, just being on the socials, sharing the message, those are still important things that, we're not closing off a group to say, unless you're a member, you're not one of us. I'll let anyone buy a T-shirt when I eventually get them up there, and anyone have a sticker. As long as flying the brand, living the lifestyle, those are more important to us than memberships.
Yeah, that's it. It's one of those things you need memberships to be heard as well. So I do recommend people look into becoming a member, and it's one of those things where I've I've been looking to be more proactive of being members of more things. I've always shied away from clubs because certain clubs have that certain thing where it's just like, I've been here longer, I get all the benefits, and that's like physical clubs. But yeah, I've been, I've got my renewal papers for the Shooters Fishers Farmers Party sitting on the bed that rocked up today, so I'll be renewing to be a member for them as well. So it's just one of those things. We all need to get out there and do it. We got to pay for what we like doing, and we need we need people out there fighting for us.
The reality is the Greens have a lot of donations from a lot of different funds. They don't necessarily just get it from big business, whilst big business does give them a lot of money. They've got uni students giving them a lot of effort too when they have no cash. So the reality is if people don't support organisations that are fighting for them, and I'm not just saying just support us, that's not what I don't want people to think that I'm not here for your money. I'm here for your support, but not for your money. But I think if you don't fund that campaign, you're fighting. You're fighting with a knife and a gunfight, and they've got the gun. So we need to be a little bit smarter in that. We need to acknowledge that, and whether that was supporting Shooters Union, Firearm Owners United, whoever it was at the time, I think people need to be aware of who's doing the work, and if when they find someone they can believe in for a couple of coffees a year, it's probably worth giving them a bit of help.
Yeah, that's it. It's one of those things, shooters, hunters, outdoor recreationists can be pretty lazy because, they're putting their money into the actual physical thing of getting out there rather than, a membership card that they sit in their wallet that they don't really see things happening. Things are happening, but they don't actually see it happening, just because they got the physical card in their wallet there and,
100%, and we need to be as an organisation transparent where we can as well. So that's always been our goal is to increase the transparency, show where the money's going, show what we're achieving, show our losses as well. People need to see that we tried and failed. We have to be strategic with it to a degree. As I said, I don't want to give antis ideas of what we've won or potentially avoided because that can be risky when you only hold about 4.5% of voters in the firearms space. But any win we make with less, I guess, targeted groups like forward driving, campgrounds, etc. Everything we put into those, if we put say $200 into boosting a post, and that $200 of boosting a post gets us X number of petition signatures, then on our end of year statements, you'll see it. We're not here to hide money. We're not here to profit ourselves. As I said, we've given a lot more than we've recuperated with memberships. So we're still in the black. We're a bad businessman, but that doesn't matter because we're good advocates.
Now, I've just had a thought pop up. Just give me a second to go to some old notes from a previous podcast. I'm not sure if you've seen up this Clean Up Australia stuff that the Wild Food Meisters.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Are you getting involved in that at all? Because I know you mentioned that you're in an area that he has one of the cleanup forests. Are you getting down there with ARU to help with that?
So right at this specific time, I'll be honest and transparent. I have not committed myself to it. However, I am trying to work out a way to achieve it because specifically one of these spots he talks about is one of the spots that I've hunted a fair few times. So we've had a few conversations with him. He's a great fellow, and Beautiful. We're all about what he's doing. The specific thing we would like to achieve with it is working with him to get the media attention that it deserves. The media attention it deserves, really pushing on the stewardship of our outdoor rec users is, I think, the most important thing. And if I'm unable to physically be there, the least I can do is work my ass off on a phone and try and get someone down there to record what's being done and spread the news. So, yeah, whilst I haven't specifically said I'll be there yet, I am working on that as transparently as I can be. But at the end of the day, we will be a part of helping that in some way or another, and hopefully be a part of carrying it forward because it needs to happen. We've all been into state forests. For some strange reason, locals decide to dump
stuff in a place that's as beautiful as it is. But yeah, we can tidy them up. You know, we should be most of the guys I will go out with anyway. We definitely walk out with more than we came in with. There's no doubt about that.
That's good to hear. Sorry for throwing you under the bus there. It
No.
just popped into my mind as you were talking, and I'm just like, hang on. We need to get you guys down there as well to help out. You know, I think they've got the media side of stuff covered. Yes, it's not like news channel type thing, but I think that with Blood Origins Australia getting down there and recording it, it's going to show it in the best positive light, and then hopefully news organizations pick up off that video rather than down there filming it themselves. I just think the numbers are going to be the best thing. So, you know, everyone that I know that's in that area, I've been saying, get down there. Make sure you make the time to get down there. I want to see your face.
The more trailers, the better it's going to look. It's one of those things working with government. We've realised that every time you do something like of an event, they want to pull out the need for public indemnity insurances, etc. So you've got to juggle these things and be like, no, we're just a bunch of blokes going in there and chicks going in there to clean up, you know. So you got to be smart about it. But yeah, I absolutely we will be getting some. There will be ARU representatives. It's just whether I am physically there or not is I'll be transparent and say I don't know yet. But you're pressuring me to maybe try and make it happen.
No, that's good. You know, I've spoken to a bunch of other people. There's Troy that I had on the podcast from the Outsider podcast.
Yep.
We spoke about it, and then, you know, we've spoken in a group about it as well. Had Carly in there as well. She's got her own event going on now. She's tried to do something in the past, but struggled to get people down there to do it. You know, it's pretty hard to get people down there doing stuff.
It's really easy to write on Facebook, and this is where we see a lot of people are happy to have a yarn, have a whinge, have a complaint, but even just signing a petition is really tough. You know, like I don't know why a 15-second event becomes so difficult, but for some reason, I don't get it. We got in New South Wales 270,000 shooters. You would have thought 270,000 people would be like, yeah, I want to shoot in more parks.
Yeah,
you know, but can't get why they don't want to do that. But anyway, you know, we've gotten better on our, you know, the other side one is the exact same copy essentially of what we did under Shooters Union the 6 months prior. We got 6,000 then. This has now got over 20,000. So it's progressing. People are getting there. You know, and I think it's that four-wheel drive community is definitely a more vocal mob than the shooting community in this, which is why we have to align with them.
And it probably helps that the petition isn't run by Shooters Union or whatever. It's got the Outdoor Recreation Union. It kind of just looks better for those people that shy away from, you know, firearms and shooting and stuff like that. But moving on to the next question, it ties in. Many shooters shy away from politics. You know, I spoke about it. I hated politics. I didn't vote. I'd never registered up until a few years back, and I just did everything to avoid politics. And now look at me, every freaking podcast I'm talking about politics now. Why is it crucial for shooters to be engaged and informed when it comes to politics?
So the greatest sign I've seen so far is don't draw a tick on the paper that last time they got in. And that's
I like that. That needs to be a shirt.
That summed it up for me perfectly. That is what happens when you don't pay attention to the votes. You get individuals with no lived experience who have grown up in their whole life sitting in the halls of Parliament, making decisions for someone that they've got no connection to or no interest about. And most of these kids who go into politics are coming straight out of school. You know, they work either for trade unions or as a secretary or whatever or you know, just an administrator for a politician, and they don't know what's going on, and then eventually, you know, through time they develop themselves into being the next face of the party, and then they claim to speak for you and everyone. Most of the time, they don't speak for you. They speak for the party line, which is why we have such an issue with the Liberals and the Labor and the Nationals, is because they're not speaking for us anymore. Fortunately, in Australia, despite people like yourself who may have tried to avoid it for a long time, it's a requirement to vote. Everyone votes. I don't think we have the same issues as other countries with regards to election fraud, etc. Because, we have to register, we all have to participate, and we all get marked off. So it's a bit different to other places around the world. Your voice does count. Now, there's been attempts to destroy that ability to have your voice count with the two-party preferred system, which I've put a few things up on the ARU's page about that, explaining how that actually works. So two-party preferred is only in the lower house, and it's to pretty much make sure that we don't have hung governments, which, has a place, because otherwise you have to have these messy coalitions that typically don't get anything through Parliament, which is why they tried to avoid it. But as a result, it's pretty much meant that you either have a Liberal or Labor Party lower house, and whatever that party wants goes. Now, both Liberal and Labor don't really support firearms and hunting, so when you've got two of the same flavour in a different colour, that's what you get stuck with. So that's why you need to be informed to understand how that works, because that's how that works in the lower house. Now, the reason why you need to understand how politics works is for the upper house. The upper house has ability to be changed a little bit. So you don't actually have to have, two-party preferred in the upper house. You physically vote for whoever you want to be in. Now, if you put a vote above the line, you're pretty much going to limit that down to whoever's there. If you vote below the line, your vote has more power. So, as an example, this is why you need to understand politics just a little bit. One seat in the lower house, in the upper house, takes, for argument's sake, 3.5% of votes. Right. So, for example, if the Libertarian Party gets 3.5% in the upper house, they'll get one seat. But consecutive seats take less. All right. So, if you vote for Libertarian Party, say, gets 6%. Or 6.5%, they'll get 2 votes. So you can see it's gone down from 3.5 to 3 for the next, and it keeps going down lower and lower and lower. This is why we need to be a little bit strategic in how we vote, all right? Because if we're not strategic, we just vote all the minors in any random direction. Each of those minor parties has to keep getting 3.5%, 3.5%, 3.5% to get people that, as a general rule, we'd like. Now, if we put all our votes into, say, the Libertarian Party, we need less votes to achieve more seats. Now, the Greens, say they pick up 15% of votes. To counter any Greens policy, we would need 15% of votes in a relatively far right seated party. Now, we can either get the same amount of seats by voting one party. So, for example, or pulling our bets with the Libertarian Party in the upper house, and we would need less votes physically to get the same amount of seats to counter them. Or we can keep doing what we've been doing for so long, and we keep voting for lots of parties, and collectively we need more votes. So this is why people need to understand just the basics, and this is where the ARU in the coming weeks leading up to a probable federal election will start to provide this education, because we know people don't know it, because up until 12 months ago, I didn't know it.
I don't know it.
Yeah, so we need to make it explain. We need to explain it to people so they understand how it works, because they don't. It doesn't get taught at school. It doesn't get taught to anyone, and only the people that really matter know about it. So we need to make everyone matter, and everyone needs to know about it. And as I said, the saying goes, don't draw a dick on the paper, because last time they got in. And I think that's the best way to sum it up. You don't want to be going through another 3 years of this crap. In 3 years, they can do a lot to us. They can harm us quite effectively. I don't want to see a heap of wind turbines take over my local state forests because of a misguided 2050 agreement to get 100% renewables in. I don't want to see forests knocked down because we need to have these farms of solar farms. when I've got a roof space that says put it on there. It's already cleared. Like, don't take my hunting territory. Don't take where I go camping. You know, I've got cleared roof space. Put them on there if you really want them. You know.
Yeah,
So,
they're
yeah, we need to,
they're an eyesore. I
they're an
did a
eyesore.
big drive today for work, and what did I drive past the whole way there? Solar farms and wind turbines, and it's a
Yeah.
fucking eyesore on on the landscape.
And I'm sure you can say it. You know, for South Australia, has your energy bills gotten better?
No,
No.
it's
So
never
they haven't
going
gotten better.
to.
It hasn't worked. It's free. It's free energy apparently,
Yeah.
and and life hasn't gotten easier. So we do need people need to understand what they're voting for. We can't be single issue voting. I can't just expect everyone to vote for firearms related topics because there's other things that affect them. But other parties do offer alternative choices, and we don't actually have to just vote the Liberal or Labor because Mum and Dad did. You know, there's another way to do things. There is a way of going about it. We'll help guide people and educate people on that. But, you know, we need to know about it because, as I said, everyone in this country has a vote. And I do genuinely believe we can vote our way to a better life.
100%.
Yeah. And for all Australians, you know.
I'm starting to agree with you, and it's kind of we need more people in those higher positions in politics that have the same interests as we do. But it's hard because getting people that are interested in that stuff into politics. It's a lot of them have the same mentality as I do and had. You know, and that was fuck
tough.
Politics.
It's very tough, and you know, one of the things we do here is we have a political development program where with prospective candidates who are thinking about going into politics, we will align those people to someone in a party of their relative choosing, or just anyone if they haven't got a decision, and they can get that mentorship about going into it. And that mentorship can be anything from asking the questions of what it's really like behind the closed doors to be a politician, all the way through to how do I set up a campaign, and will you support me in a campaign? So if you know any of your listeners are keen to get into politics and they think, you know, this is, or even thinking about it, you can reach out to the ARU. We will set you up with the right people to have a real conversation, to be guided by it, because, you know, if we can bring our own in, that's awesome. You know, that will actually see huge change. But yeah, it's not just, we've got a few avenues to getting you into there and aligning you with the right people. And to be honest, the people we'll align you with are absolute gentlemen who are respected by the community and will give you a no bullshitting answer of what it's really like.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And just speaking of which, not just people that want to get into politics, but if there's any listeners that want to help out the ARU, you know, being state representatives, I'm sure you're looking for state representatives from each state. So
Absolutely.
What's your criteria for that?
Have a motivated reason to be a part of this community. I don't even care if you're not a hunter, fisher, shooter yet. You know, I'll make you one, but you'll love it. But you know, we just want people who are keen and motivated, who see a problem in the way things are going currently. You know, who are willing to represent the organisation and the community in the right way. I'm not looking for hotheads that are going to damage the reputation of every shooter. You know, I love meet people with established social media because that just definitely helps. But you know, if you're someone who's trying to get hate put on people, it's just not the approach that we want. You know, we want to be seen as a professional organisation that is willing to have a yarn where it's necessary, have a laugh at our expense at times, but, you know, who are able to give a little bit or a lot, you know, we don't mind. If you can give an hour a week of effort, if you can give an hour a month to chat to people, we want you on board, and we'll encourage you and help you. And, you know, I kind of said when I got poached into this, yeah, I can probably give you a couple hours a week, and you know, that was the biggest lie. It's turned into many hours a week of work for nothing, but I wouldn't do anything else. I love this.
No, that's awesome to hear, and you can definitely hear the passion when you're talking about it and how informed you are about it. You know, well, my podcast is always open for you guys. Anything you want to jump on and discuss, and You're always welcome on, so we can organize a time whenever you want to have a chat, and yeah, make sure you tag us in all the stuff that you're doing, and I'll share it straight away. So
Awesome. We appreciate the support, and hopefully this year I'll be able to come on after the rut with a stellar story of a big fallow, because all my fallow are pretty laughable, but they taste good. So
well,
we got that at least.
like I said, I'll be down your way end of March, so I'll hit you up and let you know. And if you're free, we'll have to try and organise a hunter's dinner down there after one of the nights of hunting. Go catch up at a pub or something and have a couple cold beverages and a nice big palmy or something.
Absolutely. Have truck will travel.
So moving on to the end of the podcast, how do you stay connected to nature when you're not out hunting or advocating for hunting in the outdoors?
So myself, I live in the Blue Mountains for that reason. I only have to go for a 2K shuffle, and I'm some of the best lookouts in the area. So yeah, I like to run. I like to stay fit and active, and I like to definitely get out. But I don't just hunt and fish. Got the adventure bike that I get on every now and again and have a zip around. I've got like 5 push bikes now in the garage. Mountain bike, gravel bike, all that. I try not to be a bit of a road toad, but you won't typically see me in a Lycra on the main street. But I do get out and get on the pushy, specifically with my nearly 4-year-old daughter. We'll go for a little ride together regularly to be outdoors. But I try to be outside more than in. Unfortunately, my job has me inside quite a lot. My days off are absolutely restorative, and if I don't use them effectively, I know about it. The other things I try to do is try to involve the family. So if we're going out, so let's make it a family affair. A couple of the guys at work, we're pretty close. We fish, we shoot, we hunt, we camp. We get away nearly every month, specifically to make sure that we're all mentally protected from the workforce we're in. We've seen it all go pretty pear-shaped for others, and we just don't want to be like that. So for me, it's getting out at every available opportunity I can. And a great way to know that if I've been outdoors enough is I look at my watch, and if it hasn't absorbed enough lumens of light, it's I've probably been inside and been a slacker like today. So I try to use that, but that's the main stuff really.
That's awesome. And in your own words, what does hunting mean to you?
Oh, that's a really good question. To me, hunting is about being a part of the food cycle. It's about supporting myself and my family through an ethical harvest. That's probably the biggest thing. There's nothing greater, in my idea, than sitting down at a dinner table with your family, with a beer, and something that you've had to chase down and get yourself. It's a pursuit. It's outdoing a superior species, in my opinion. I've had to win on many fronts to achieve a successful harvest of a deer. So it's a great thing when you can sit down with your family and feed them something that you take full ownership of. It's no different to spearfishing and getting some dinner on the table that way. It's a challenge, but it's that all about the end state of a harvest on the table. That's what it's about for me.
No, that's awesome. That's a great answer. I couldn't agree more with you, and that's why it's one of my favorite questions. And I know I say this at the end of nearly every episode. I just love that question and how everybody answers it in their own unique way.
It's something different for everyone, and it's that hunting, I think, is different to shooting necessarily. Sometimes I go shooting for pigs because I'm helping a farmer out.
Yeah.
That to me is different. It's not that it's not as ethical or there's anything wrong with it. It's just, to me, it's a different event. Chasing down a deer or a goat in the high country, that's just a completely different task that I'm absolutely in love with, and you can't wipe the smile off my face when I'm breaking that animal down.
Yeah,
It lasts for hours.
100%. And then, yeah, that's the same here when I go out spotlighting. That's shooting. That's spending time with mates and doing pest control. That's not
Yeah.
that's not hunting to me. Yes, it's a form of hunting, but it's not like hunting deer or goats or actually going out for a hunt. But yeah, it's just awesome. But I want to thank you for coming on, Patrick. What you're doing is amazing. Where can people go to sign up? Where can people find out more information if we didn't cover enough and they want to look into it more? And what are your socials?
So we're currently on a few different platforms. So we've got our own website. It's pretty easy, australianrecreationunion.com. You'll find us there. We've got a membership link on that as well. Memberships is the best way to support us, obviously. In the process of getting some merchandise out so people can fly the brand name as well.
Speaking of merch, quickly, you need to make that that comment about the dick on the ballot paper a t-shirt, because that will sell so well.
Yeah, we got a member who can probably invest some time into that this week, actually. So I'll put him onto it. But yeah, merchandise is definitely something that we got to get out there, because we know that people love to wear a hat. Like I'm wearing a merchandise hat for Lithgow Arms right now. But yeah, we'll get some merch out pretty quick. But memberships is big. We're on Facebook. You'll find us at the Australian Recreation Union, and we're on Instagram. Again, Australian Recreation Union. There's no numbers, there's no dots, nothing makes it difficult. We're pretty easy to find just by typing our name in. And we've checked it, cross-checked it, double-checked it so many times to make sure it's that way. If you want to reach us, drop us a DM. It's the easiest way. You'll get one of the team as fast as possible. Please bear in mind we've got full-time jobs. This isn't making us a living. I'm not SSAA royalty living a good life. I work for the government. I work for my paycheck. So I sometimes have a bit of delays. The other way is we have our email addresses on the website, which you can ask us for more targeted help. But anything you've got as a question, for anyone wanting to help us, please let us know. If you want to get into politics like we've discussed, please let us know. If you've got suggestions for things that you think we should be a part of, one of the things that we're really grateful is people have been giving us advice on areas that have been closed down, mainly camping and four-wheel drive tracks. I live in the Blue Mountains. I travel a little bit, but I don't know what's going on in Victoria everywhere. I don't know what's going on in Queensland. So, yeah, the more things people tell us about, the more things I can make noise about, and the more things I can push onto people in areas that can really have impacts. If you're a club organisation, retailer who wants to jump on board, we've already spoken about a little bit about Razorbacks Outdoors. Halsey Park is another a gun shop that's joining, but Razorbacks Outdoors has already acknowledged that they've had some success from just a simple reel I did saying, hey, these guys are here and we like to work with them. So, it might help your business out. So if you want to join up and, offer some things for our members, please do so. We're happy to take everyone's knowledge. And if you're having issues with, say, the registry, or you've come under some stress with how do you manage dealing with a politician in your area. You want some just general guidance, let us know. Like we're here to help. We do this because we're genuinely passionate about helping people. So yeah, I might not have the full answer, but I probably know who has, so at least I can guide people on. So yeah, please just reach out if you want to know anything else about us. And but the best thing you can do at the moment is support us with memberships.
Beautiful. Well, yeah, I've got it up on my phone now, so tomorrow's payday, I'll be jumping on and signing up as a member there. So
yeah, you'll have to wait about 2 days for your membership acknowledgement because I'm on shift. But yeah, I'll send it definitely to you.
Not good enough. No.
No. Yeah, we specifically for the memberships, currently it's a New South Wales approved hunting organisation, which means you access $20 million of public indemnity through the government when you get an R licence. So, for those people who have thought about getting an R licence, do it. They say all the forests are shot out. There's no deer. It's a load of shit. There's plenty of deer everywhere. You just got to work for them.
Yep. Yep, it's not shooting them off the road like the government here in South Australia does. That's a different story. But
Another podcast.
it is. But again, Patrick, thank you for coming on. Thank you for doing what you're doing, and thank you for starting up Australian Recreation Union. I love the logo. Like I said, I'm on the website right now. United we triumph. It's a good little logo. So. That will make some sweet merch that will look good on hats and that. So I look forward to seeing that around when I'm passing through expos and all of those different things. So
yeah, we're hoping to be at a few of the next upcoming ones. I think the Bathurst show. I think we're looking at a table there as well. So yeah, slowly we'll get our name out there and get active. But yeah, mate, I really appreciate and so does the whole team for you supporting us as we've started, and I really do appreciate you having me on the show and. Yeah, again, hopefully we can have a bit of a post-rut debrief and talk some hopefully positive federal politics that's changed. Let's hope that the landscape shifts by the end of the rut.
Nah, sounds like a plan. And yeah, again, happy to help. And anytime you guys need some air, I'm happy to give you that air time. So,
thanks very much, mate. I really appreciate it.
All good. Thank you, Patrick. Have a good night.
Thanks, mate.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of Hunting Connection Podcast. We hope you've enjoyed our discussions and gained valuable insights into the world of hunting, fishing, and the outdoors. To stay connected with us and never miss out on an update, please be sure to follow us on social media, all at Hunting Connection Podcast. We appreciate your support and would love for you to share the podcast with your friends and family. Don't forget to tag us in your hunting photos on social media and let us know about your experiences. Your feedback is invaluable to us, so please take a moment to subscribe, rate, and review the podcast. Together, we continue growing and delivering more captivating episodes for all hunting enthusiasts. Stay connected, stay informed, and keep pursuing your passion for the hunt. Until next time, happy hunting.